Yo, what's up? Welcome inside the opening line. Corey, and we got Benny back stateside. What's going on, my man? How was the trip?
Oh, it was awesome, bro. It was a nice, relaxing week. We got to see a whole bunch of stuff in Europe. Went to Paris, went to Amsterdam, went to Berlin, back to Paris, back to New York. It's good to be back home, but it was definitely a nice, relaxing week off. Didn't have the computer with me. Still managed to watch you guys every day, which was like, yo, you want to hear something crazy? You know how there's commercials before our show now on YouTube when you go over there?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so when you watch them in another country, the commercials are in whatever language you're in. So like when I was in France, they were like French commercials for cigarettes and stuff like that. When I was in Germany, it was like this weird ass commercial with you remember Hans and Franz back in the day from Saturday Night Live?
Hans in France, we're here to pump you up.
Yeah, exactly. Yo, it was like two Hans and Franz guys like selling some kind of designer steroid product. I was like, this is awesome. I'm like, this is the commercials they put with our show overseas.
That's pretty dope. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to all the viewers across international waters. We rocking with you. Oh, interesting weekend in betting. Interesting weekend in fantasy, Benny. For the most part, I'm standing pretty good right now. I didn't get the Lamar Jackson game I needed yesterday. Dak actually came through, even though he was horrible yesterday. Marlon Mack, whatever the case may be, we'll get into it and break it all down. Did you do any playing this weekend? Were you back in time?
Yeah, I got back. So I got back on Saturday. Basically passed out from about 4:00 in the afternoon until about 1 in the morning. My clock's all screwed up right now.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got up at like 1 in the morning and I was like, well, what else I got to do? I might as well go. And like I said, I've been listening to podcasts and the shows and everything while I'm over there. It's not like they don't have internet in Europe. So I was still following along with everything we're doing over here. So I put a couple lineups in. I had a little bit of Will Fuller, which I was surprised how highly owned he was. He was chalk. He was over 20%. So
when me and Vlad did the live stream on Thursday night, Vlad said that he was going to be the chalk. And then Rad Thad on Friday said that Fuller was going to be the chalk, that he was going to play QT because if Fuller was the chalk and he goes off, that it wasn't going to be beneficiary.
Yep. But no, he was right. I mean, it was over 20. I think he was over 25% in the Millie Maker. Yeah. Meaning, even if you played Will Fuller and got his 50 points or 40-something fantasy points, whatever he had, it didn't really guarantee that you were going to cash over there. I mean, we had some big monster days yesterday at fantasy. Like Christian McCaffrey, I mean, obviously the guy's a stud, catching the ball, running the ball, put up another 240 total yards, a couple touchdowns there. Aaron Jones. Yeah, he really is. To me, honestly, remember 2 years ago when every lineup you made, you either had to put Le'Veon Bell or David Johnson in. Like you just started your lineup with one of those two and built around it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that's pretty much what I've done with Christian McCaffrey this year, and I'm not upset about it because every week he's putting up big – he had one bad game, I think, but every other week he's put up not even just good numbers, like monster numbers. You know what I'm saying? So, that was big. Aaron Jones, the 4 touchdowns this week. So, I saw people put up scores over 300 on DraftKings this week because, I mean, if you had those 3 guys in your lineup alone, you got 150-ish.
No doubt. Let's take a quick run through the game, see if we can find anything. But we discussed Lamar Jackson with his first down performance, but he still gives you 70 rushing yards, even though it was a bad day in the air for him. Juju Smith-Schuster, though, he gets it going, 7 for 175. The Smith-Schuster owner's got to be feeling a little bit better about him this morning because it's been a tough start to the season for them.
Yeah, I mean, he hadn't really done much for you so far coming into this game, so that was nice to see. Mason Rudolph, dude, did you see that hit?
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh my God.
I thought he was dead, son.
I did too, man. That was scary. I would be shocked if he's back this week, maybe even next week, or he might be out a couple weeks with that concussion. So, we'll have to start looking at that. I mean, Pittsburgh's 1-4 right now. They're going to a third-string quarterback. As a New York Jet fan, I can tell you, third-string quarterbacks are third-string quarterbacks for a reason. It's not going to be pretty going forward for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was nice to see Juju do that. I got to be honest, Corey, if I have Juju right now, I'm seeing if I can flip him because you don't know what that quarterback play is going to be like for the next couple of weeks, maybe for the rest of the season,
Yeah, no, that's true. I can remember a time when Tommy Maddox, touchdown Tommy Maddox was quarterback in Pittsburgh. This is like in between like Slash and Roethlisberger type era.
Yep, I remember.
And he took one of those nasty concussions like that too, where they had to take the face guard off and everything. But he was back out there the next week. But this may not be the case. Is that as your man was knocked out unconscious on the field, Mason Rudolph. We got some breaking news this morning. Well, it might not be breaking news. It's something that probably was long overdue. Even though I don't think the situation in Washington is all on Jay Gruden. Matter of fact, the majority of it is not on Jay Gruden. It's on the organization. But the past couple of weeks, Benny, I got the feeling that Jay Gruden has been trying to get fired.
There was actually a rumor floating around. I'm sure you saw that picture of him, hitting on some chick and smoking weed. Yeah. The rumor was he actually released it himself to try to get fired. So I don't know. We'll see. Listen, I'm going to be honest. Daniel Snyder, as the owner of that team, has done nothing right. It's one of those situations where, every coach he hires seemed like a dumb move and the draft picks they're making don't make sense. The guys that they keep, the people they give money to, the things they want to do. The list is just so long of incompetence, basically, with the Washington Redskins. And they're in a division with other well-run organizations, Dallas, Philly, New York. You're going to need a complete culture change over there. I mean, they gave the job interim to offensive line coach Bill Callahan, somebody who's been around the league I feel like he's been around the league forever. You know what I mean? So
you don't want the job either, trust me.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's going to wind up getting it. I mean, I think they'll go out and try to make some kind of splashy hire, but really it's becoming one of those situations where they're going to wind up like the New York Jets, where all the coaches that they wanted are going to be like, no, we don't want to go to that dysfunctional franchise. And you're going to wind up getting Adam Gase next year after the Jets fire him.
I think Jim Harbaugh is going to be a name you're going to hear a lot of in D.C.
He's going there.
You don't think so?
Why would he?
He's about to get fired.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's going to have multiple offers. I'd rather go to Miami.
Really?
Yeah. Hey, I always rather go to Miami than Washington, D.C. That alone is there.
That goes without saying.
But wouldn't you want 3 first-round picks and, a young organization that's going to have some cap room? I mean, that makes more sense to me to go there. Like, when you go to Washington, what are you doing? You're stuck with Haskins for 4 years, which might not be a horrible thing. You don't know yet.
You never say Mitch. He's played against Haskins before. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, he knows this Haskins' strength.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if it's me, I want to go somewhere where I can, remember the old Bill Parcells thing? Like, if you're going to ask me to cook dinner, you got to let me shop for the groceries. If I'm going to Miami and that's going to be my, my soiree into the NFL, I want to shop for the groceries if I'm trying to put together a winning team.
Arizona and Cincinnati. Cincinnati does not get it done. I would not be surprised if Cincinnati started selling off pieces. And I think A.J. Green could be with the first one.
And I don't think that's a bad idea for them. I mean, they're another team that I think needs to kind of hit a reset button here. So, yeah, I mean, you reach that point in the year where you're obviously not going anywhere right now. You got a bunch of young wide receivers out there that are doing all right. I mean, Tyler Boyd looks like, a legit NFL wide receiver. I mean, he's one of the top – I think he's top 7 or top 8 in fantasy points per game right now. And he's done it consistently. Like, he might have had 1 or 2 kind of down games, but it's not like he had one big game for 50. It's been like a consistent 15 to 25 fantasy points every time out for him. 5, 6 catches and 80 yards, a touchdown here or there. I think he had 100 yards in that game against Arizona, one of the best matchups yesterday. So, you got other pieces there. John Ross looked good until he got hurt. Next year he's going to be back. You're going to have him out there as well. So, listen, A.J. Green still has a lot of hype, still a lot of people that would be willing to pay up for an A.J. Green. The guy's never healthy, and he's locking up a lot of your salary cap. So, trading him or letting him move on, I think is probably a smart move.
Yeah, he's probably at the point in his career where he wants to play for a winner as well. And you know what I'm saying? If he's going out there risking my body and getting hurt, I don't want to do it for the 0-16 Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Mixon gives you 93 yards on the ground. You mentioned the wide receivers. David Johnson was a guy that a lot of people were on yesterday. He comes through with a big game as well, even though he did not get in the end zone.
Yeah, Chase Edmonds got in the end zone. He had a long touchdown run there. Keep an eye on Johnson, Corey. He's banged up a little bit. If Chase Edmonds is out on your waiver wire, go pick him up right now, because if Johnson does happen to miss that game next week, or even if he's limited, Chase Edmonds would be the guy on the team that runs the most plays that would benefit, catching the ball and running the ball for them. So Chase Edmonds should not be on the waiver wire in 12 or 15 team leagues right now.
I was telling, I forgot who it was last week, that the Tennessee Titans They're a type of team that will go on the road and beat the Rams and come home and lose to the Bills. And that's kind of exactly what they did. They come home, they get the home loss. They play better away from home. You'll notice that with some teams. Mariota was terrible. Henry did what Henry does. The rest of it is nothing. On the Buffalo Bills side, a healthy Josh Allen throws 2 touchdown passes. Frank Gore leads the team in rushing. And Smoke Brown does the job wide receiving. I think Brown is an every week play in a 12-team league.
Yeah, Brown's an every week play, and I think Allen is an every week play too, even though he didn't have the biggest game. I think he only threw for like 220, but he ran for another 20 or 30, and he did throw I think he only had 1 touchdown. It wasn't a big game for him, but listen, this Buffalo team is legit, Corey.
They play good defense.
Yeah, the defense is amazing. They're a top 5 defense in the NFL, and they do enough on offense where they're going to win or stay in a lot of these games here this year. So I have some respect for Buffalo. I agree with you. Buffalo defense, John Brown, Josh Allen, pretty much the only guys you could play. Maybe Frank Gore. Frank Gore is actually going to come into play a little bit with bye weeks and stuff coming up. Like, could be a flex guy that I wouldn't think people are crazy if that's where he winds up in your lineup if you need him.
In Oakland, in London, Josh Jacobs scores 2 touchdowns for the Raiders as they get the big upset. Darren Waller with a down game, but the Raiders were able to flip possession and keep the ball on the ground, not really needing to air it out too much like many people thought they would. Allen Robinson goes crazy like we figured he would. You see Chase Daniels got Anthony Miller involved, right, which is interesting. Couldn't do that with Trubisky. Tariq Cohen also catches 6 passes too. David Montgomery gets the touchdown. The Bears lose the game though.
Yeah, I mean, to me, honestly, the Bears actually played better than the Raiders, at least in, like, the second half. They were down, I think, 17-0, stormed back to go 21-17, and then wound up losing 24-17 after giving up.
I laid the 5.
Yeah, I did too. I was on that same side of it. I mean, it is what it is. Like, I think the Bears are exactly who we thought they were, right, Corey? Like, their defense is legit. Their defense is going to keep them in some of them games. But this is not a team that ever wants to fall behind, because if they fall behind and the offense has to carry them, you're in trouble. They're just not going to win games that way. They need to have the lead. They need to pound the rock. They need to run some play action. They need to rely more on the running game than putting it on the back of whoever the quarterback is, Trubisky, Daniels, whoever winds up being back there for them. The offense just sucks. They're not going to put up a lot of points. When they play high-scoring teams, that's why they're going to lose. When they play other teams with good defenses, like, Oakland doesn't even have that good of a defense, but you fall behind, you don't – the Bears don't want to play a pass-happy game where they're trying to catch up. That's not what they're built for.
No. Yesterday, Benny, a couple of the sports books, right? Well, not the big ones, but the ones in Jersey that nobody never talks about, right?
Okay.
The Borgata one, the MGM one. They had promos yesterday where if you put a $1 money line bet on the Patriots and the Patriots won, you win $100.
I would have done that on every one of them if I knew.
I wasn't in New Jersey to take advantage of this.
Yeah.
They had it for the Eagles. $1 wins you 100.
Yeah. I honestly I took the Eagles. Again, I'm a Jet fan. I took the Eagles with the 13.5. Yeah, I gave the 13.5 and honestly didn't even – they were up 14 in the first quarter.
Yesterday I had the Washington's team total under 12.5. They scored on like the second play of the game, and I looked at myself and I said, they're still not going to get over 12.5. And they didn't. And last night, those same companies were giving you bet $1 on the Kansas City Chiefs, you win 100.
Ooh.
That one didn't go so well.
I mean, that was, Indy's actually a good team.
Yeah.
It's not like we're not talking the Jets or the Redskins. Like, Indy's a good team. I don't think that's that crazy.
I had a situation with that game last night. I was on the Colts last night, but the play didn't get played. It was miscommunicated. It was communicated the wrong way. And instead of getting the money line, I got the money line and the over. So that was not fun.
What was there? There was only 31 points in that game. It went way under, didn't it?
Yeah, it was way under. I know. Anyway, we'll get back to some of that. Just don't worry about that. The Saints and the Buccaneers. Hey, Teddy Bridgewater getting it done.
Yeah, best QB to wear a Jets uniform in the last 5 years.
Can you imagine that, Benny? Was in the building.
I actually said he should have been the starter that year, but they traded him. They got the draft pick for it. It is what it is.
True, no doubt. Michael Thomas goes off. Alvin Kamara does his thing. Chris Godson what's his new name? That's his new name, Chris Godson. Chris Godson is going off just about every week. He's the Bucs' number one. Mike Evans with another slow day.
Yeah, so I mean, listen, when I'm wrong, I admit I'm wrong. I was wrong about Chris Godwin. And you know what? Not only was he worthy of the second-round pick, Corey, I think he's actually the number one receiver in fantasy football right now, overall, if I'm not mistaken.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so he actually even did return you value this year. So, you know what? Everybody who had faith in Chris Godwin, second-round pick, you're getting the kind of returns you thought you were getting from him. Again, I didn't want to buy into the hype, but it looks like those who did are being rewarded for it.
Did Evans leave the game yesterday?
What happened?
Did Evans leave the game yesterday?
I don't know. I wasn't watching that game, so I have no idea.
I don't see him on the box score.
Replays yet.
I don't see him on the box score.
Did he not have any catches?
Did he have a donut yesterday?
He had to get hurt if he had a donut. I don't see any way where he didn't get hurt and he didn't have a donut. Marshawn Lattimore, Lattimore hasn't even been that great.
Well, he said he plays to the level of his competition.
Well, that's Mike Evans to me is one of the best wide receivers, most talented, physical, talented wide receivers in the league. But he has been playing hurt most of the year or, with the stomach virus, except for that, explosion against the Giants where he won people $1 million in seats to random, finals.
An explosion for a guy with a stomach virus doesn't sound good. But no, he did. He had a donut yesterday, 0 for 3, and no fantasy points. God, that's got to sting when he's in your lineup.
I got to watch that game now after we get off the air to find out what happened because I didn't watch that one yesterday. I just caught the highlights on whatever happened on Red Zone.
The Buccaneers, Jameis wasn't bad. He throws 2 touchdowns, no picks. The Ronald Jones experiment fell flat. Today was all about yesterday was all about Chris Godwin. O.J. Howard goes 1 for 10. Benny, I don't know. You know my theory. Put his ass on the waiver wire.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, there was an argument between him and Evan Ingram, and I was like, I don't see this as an argument. I was like, I think Ingram's going to take a step forward, and I still think that at best he's a third option in that offense behind those 2 wide receivers. So I don't know. I've never been a huge O.J. Howard fan. I know the guy's got a lot of talent, but it never has translated to the football field. So until I see it translate to the football field consistently, he's somebody that other people are willing to draft well before I am.
He's going to have to go to a new home. It's not going to happen for him in Tampa. Darius Slayton gets the touchdown catch for the Giants. Sterling Shepard goes 5 for 49. He just missed a touchdown in the back of the end zone. Mm-hmm. Still was heavily targeted along with Ingram, who also had 11 targets. Mm-hmm. He was 6 for 42. Golden Tate gets worked in slowly, 3 for 13. Gallman leaves the game with a head injury. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Hillman is probably going to be the flavor of the week on the waiver wire now.
Now, listen, I'm going to repeat kind of what we said for Gallman, and I'm going to even kick it down a notch for Hillman. It's not like this guy's a very good running back. Like, You're taking him strictly on volume, and you're using him strictly as a flex when you need him. If you're picking him up expecting him to be the guy that saves your season, I think you're sorely mistaken. We got to see how serious the Gallman thing is. He did leave that game early. The one thing, Corey, that we do know is we saw Hillman get a lot of touches because they just don't – they're real thin. I wouldn't be surprised if Gallman's going to be out to see the Giants pick up somebody else at running back this week. But I don't think that – Hillman, is he an ad? Yeah, he's an ad because of volume, but, don't expect any 100-yard games or 25, 30 fantasy point outbursts from this guy. He's just a guy.
Temper your expectations. Everybody got back on the Kirk Cousins bandwagon. He was good, Kirk Cousins, yesterday. 2 of 27, 306, 2 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook did his thing. The wide receivers got involved yesterday, too. Diggs, you still were kind of light with 3 for 41, but at least they're throwing the football 27 times in the game that they had control over from the beginning, Benny. The thing about it is –
it was the Giants' defense?
It's the Giants' defense. It's right, but the thing about it is Kirk Cousins is not going to be judged on games against the New York Giants. Kirk Cousins is going to be judged on games against the Packers, the Packers, the Bears, and the Lions. And those are the teams he struggles against.
And you know what? Like you said, it was the Giants. Like I say it half joking around, but also look at the numbers that people have put up against the Giants this year. So when you see a big game from somebody against the Giants or against the Arizona Cardinals, or against the New York Jets even, like, you don't get excited about it. Like, go out and do it against somebody good. Like, go out and do it against a good team. Let me see them do that against a good team. And then I'll be like, okay, he's back. But until then, every time, like you said, every time he's played a good defense, he's looked below average. So if people are going to start playing a lot of, Minnesota passing game pieces, be my guest. To me, this is still Dalvin Cook's team.
Yep, no doubt about it. The Eagles punished the Jets. Jordan Howard is still getting it done. Miles Sanders had a couple big catches. So if you played him, at least you got that. Ertz was the man, of course. Alshon Jeffrey getting it done. We've yet to see Deshaun Jackson after week 1. The Sanders thing, Benny, I mean, we're still waiting. You know what I'm saying? And I still think the best piece of advice is to wait.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's actually been out-touching Jordan Howard, but he hasn't been getting in the end zone. Jordan Howard's
out-touchdowning him.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, and that's a variable thing. I think the way you got to look at it, though, Corey, is he's not, barring an injury from Jordan Howard, he's not going to be the guy. And there are other situations where there are people that are the guy. The way things are working out in Philly, him and Howard are basically splitting, and you're even throwing in Darren Sproles there for some third down work. So just the path for big upside with Sanders isn't there. So I wouldn't be looking forward to starting him. But, he's definitely not somebody I'm going to be willing to throw on my bench because, God forbid, one of those two guys gets hurt. I think his role does get bigger.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. You could bench him, but you still hang on to him. Mm-hmm. He needs to score a touchdown. He has no touchdowns on the season. Lev Bell, just a volume monster. The rest of it is an absolute shit show.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Jets' offensive line is horrendous. Like, that's really – I mean, people can talk about Luke Falk all they want, and I'm not saying Luke Falk's good. He held on to the ball too long on sometimes yesterday, made some bad throws, doesn't seem to have good touch on some of the throws he's trying to make there. They're getting picked off. But with that said, I mean, the guy's under siege. Like, if you watched that game yesterday, I mean, there were a lot of times where, you got the 3-second clock in your head and get rid of the football. I don't even know if he had 3 seconds on a lot of those. The Jets' offensive line is horrendous. Which also leads me to believe even when Sam Darnold comes back, it's not like it's going to change. I mean, if he's going to have the same 2 seconds to get rid of the ball too, you're not going to be able to go downfield. It's going to be a lot of what we're seeing now, dump-off passes. They do get Chris Herndon back, so maybe that helps. But I hate to say it as a Jet fan, but nothing positive here. Nothing.
No, it looks like it's in the tank early. At least Darnold may be able to rally the troops a little bit. Christian McCaffrey, we talked about how great he was. DJ Moore gets it done. Light day from Curtis Samuel. The rest is pretty simple. On the other side, Gardner Minshew continues to get it done. Throw for 375 and 2 touchdowns in the loss. DJ Chalk is the guy. Dede Westbrook gets involved also. Leonard Fournette with 4 catches is so great. Not to mention Fournette, 23 touches, 108 yards and a touchdown. Leonard Fournette is a game changer, especially if you were getting him in that 3rd and 4th round range. Right now that he's healthy, he has been excellent this season, Benny, catching passes, running the football well. They're in every game. What I would say is this, though, Raquel Armstead, if he's on your way, why pick him up? Because Big Leonard is going to miss some time at some point this season. But if he doesn't, Benny, he's going to finish as the top 12 fantasy back.
He's going to finish as the top 6 fantasy back because of volume. Like, that's the thing you got to look at right now is he's one of those guys that, we talked about like Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard splitting snaps 50-50. Like, Leonard Fournette's out on the field all the time, and he's game flow proof, Corey. Like, in the games that they're winning, he's getting his 15 to 20 carries. In the games that they're losing, he's still getting 12 to 18 carries and 5 or 6 targets.
Minshew is keeping him in every game.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, too, is as long as the games are close, he's going to keep playing. And this Jaguars defense is good. Like, they're an underrated team, in my opinion. I think their defense is good. I think their offense does enough to keep them in games. There's a lot of pieces of this team that I like for fantasy. Like, DJ Shark is a top 5 wide receiver right now. And football, I think, in fantasy points, I think he's been in the top 5. If he's not top 5, he's real close. He's definitely in the top 8 overall so far for PPR points. And then, like you said, Fournette, it's just – I love volume with my running back. So the more I know that a guy's volume is going to be high and it's going to be safe, the more I like him. So, Leonard Fournette may have some of those games where he gets 25 touches and only ends up with like 105 total yards, but it's still 25 touches and it's still 105 yards. Those are still good things for fantasy. Plus, he's a touchdown scorer.
Yeah, no, he definitely gets it done. This is daughter got a tooth pulled this morning, so we good to go now.
Okay.
Nothing, Benny, and we discuss this every week, and hopefully, y'all are tailing. But the Atlanta Falcons against the spread, they are going to lose. It's a given. It was the first game I bet this week. I wish I could have bet it twice, Benny. Mm-hmm. And Atlanta goes down to Houston with one of the best rosters in football and gets destroyed yet again. Mm-hmm. Deshaun Watson was outstanding yesterday. You know how I was saying Mahomes, Jackson, that only player you start over Jackson, that you start only Mahomes is the only quarterback you start over Jackson. I think Watson can go in that mix in certain instances too. Yesterday was one of those. Everybody knew the big game was coming. Will Fuller goes off. Duke Johnson carried the football 9 times yesterday. He caught one pass, but still Carlos Hyde's backfield. Fuller goes off. Hopkins does his thing. That's what we see on the Houston side. On the Atlanta side, they're getting their stats. Julio had a down game yesterday. Matt Ryan throws 3 touchdown passes. Devontae Freeman is worthy of being on fantasy benches. You know what, Benny? He's not catching the ball either, Freeman.
Nope.
Freeman is a 0 right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can't drop him. I have him on a couple teams as like a.
I'll drop him because he's a starting running back.
Yeah, and because of all the touches he gets, but yeah, he's really not helping out. You know, you were high on Matt Ryan early in the year, and I got to say this, like, fantasy-wise, Matt Ryan's been great.
Oh, he's been excellent.
Yeah, because they suck.
Yeah,
and they keep playing from behind, and he has some of the most ridiculous weapons out there. I mean, Calvin Ridley on any other team could probably be a number 1 wide receiver. Julio Jones, even though he didn't have a big game yesterday, still one of the best receivers in the league. Austin Hooper, one of the best pass-catching guys. We don't even talk about Mohamed Sanu, and Mohamed Sanu is a very good wide receiver as well.
Sanu should be owned in 12-team leagues.
Yeah, I have some of him in best ball that I got like late in drafts, and I'm loving it. Because, you know, he'll have those games where he makes 3 or 4 catches, 30, 40 yards, and a touchdown like he did yesterday. And he winds up as like your wide receiver 3 on your roster, even in a best ball league. So
if you are a fan of the Atlanta Falcons, you probably want to run Matt Ryan out of town. If you're a Matt Ryan fantasy investor, you're definitely satisfied with the numbers you're getting from the signal caller. He throws for 303 touchdown passes every single week. Atlanta Falcons are on the clock. Trust me, it's going to be a new coaching staff out there. The Broncos and the Chargers, I don't know why I didn't bet this, Benny, but I had a good feeling the Broncos were going to get this win in this AFC North game. They didn't do anything good. Phil Lindsay ran the ball very effectively. Cortland Sutton is having a breakout season. Melvin Gordon gets his first start, really doesn't do nothing. Austin Eckler still puts up big number. 15 catches for 86 yards for Eckler. Keenan Allen with a light game. Mike Allen gives you Big Mike Williams. I said Mike Allen. Big Mike Williams gives you a little something this week, Benny. But the Chargers are looking like, you know, the Chargers always get off to a slow start, then they pick it up. Yeah. They look like they might not pick it up this year.
Listen, I don't really like this team all that much. I think the defense is not coming through the way people expected the defense. The defense is supposed to be one of their strengths this year, and they do not look that great. You know, you mentioned it. Like, Eckler is still the running back here that I would rather have. Melvin Gordon may do more of the running, but in PPR settings, Eckler's the guy that gets all the passing down work. And, you know, we've kind of seen what he's done so far this year. So very happy with the Eckler shares I have. Still not willing to get rid of him. You know, if you find people willing to sell low on him, I think that's fine. You know, Keenan Allen, I think the targets, he's always nice. So that's fine right there. Not really big on Phillip Rivers this year. I think Phillip Lindsay has completely outplayed Royce Freeman for me. I hope they give Lindsay the role, you know, but the problem is, and this is why we hated him early in the year, is that the Broncos are content on going like with a 50-50 split with these guys. So if Lindsay has the lion's share of it, I think he's good. I think they're a little worried because Lindsay's a little on the small side. I think they're worried about how he'll hold up taking all those hits, but he's clearly the better running back in Denver for me.
No, in Big D yesterday, a disgusting performance by Dak Prescott. 3 interceptions, 2 of them very terrible interceptions.
Still put up numbers though.
No, he put up the numbers. I cannot knock him for that. But as a Dallas Cowboy fan, I was disgusted. But me as a fantasy investor, I'm like, okay, this was fine. Ezekiel Elliott, he gets in the end zone. He was giving you 5 yards a pop yesterday, but the game got away from them. The Zeke breakout is coming. Amari Cooper was fantastic. Good to see Michael Gallup back in the lineup.
He was fantastic too.
Yeah, no doubt. Randall Cobb
should go to the
bench. You know what? The offense is better with Gallup in it.
Oh, much better.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, because again, when you're a defensive coordinator, you have to pick your poison, right? So you can't double Amari Cooper and leave Gallup one-on-one because he's going to burn you like he did yesterday. Big touchdown catch again. Like I said, 7 catches, 113 and a touchdown. You're talking 25, 30 fantasy points there, depending on, or at least 20, if not 30, depending on PPR or not. But, I mean, those are big numbers that he's putting up there. So Gallup being back in there, it just makes it tougher overall. And remember, most teams wanted to stack the box against Dallas because you got one of the best running backs in the league. The underrated thing, Corey, and I know you're not going to like to hear this, the underrated thing that people are overlooking, both tackles were not in that game yesterday. One of them was out from the beginning. The other one got hurt early in the game. That offensive line was one of the main strengths of Dallas that allowed Dak the time to throw the ball downfield and allowed, Zeke to pick up those yards. If those guys are going to be out, that makes Dallas a little bit of a question right now with both of those tackles.
No, it's not going to be a cakewalk to an NFC East Division championship. It's going to come with some ups and downs. Big game coming up against the Eagles in about 2 or 3 weeks from now. Hopefully Tyron Smith can be back for that Sunday night affair with the Philadelphia Eagles. On the Packers side, it was just all Aaron Jones. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You can't really break down and look at anything else. Like Scantling and Allison had poor days with Devontae Adams out, but there was no reason for them to go off because Aaron Jones was unstoppable yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the defense for, Green Bay being one of their strengths this year and that they're going to rely on kind of run game defense playing that kind of football, which hurts Aaron Rodgers because they're not asking him to do as much as they usually do. I mean, listen, what can you say about Aaron Jones? What did he get in the end zone 4 times yesterday? I mean, the guy put up, I think, over 50 DraftKings points. I had him in some draft.com best ball leagues. He gave me a 50 spot yesterday on a couple teams. And, I mean, it is what it is. Like, as long as they're going to pound the run and play defense, you got to tick down all those wide receivers. I mean, no Devontae Adams, and those guys still didn't have a big game, and yet Green Bay came out and put up good numbers. They got off to an early lead. They controlled the clock the rest of the game. Anytime they're not going to be trailing in a game, Corey, I don't think you can expect much out of the passing game. I think Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Jones is the guy I want rather than Aaron Rodgers in the Green Bay offense.
I would agree with that. And last night in the nightcap, Mahomes got another thing with Dallas is they were missing their center on the defensive side of the football. They were missing one of their guards. That was the reason why they got gashed on the ground yesterday too. So those injuries came up big. The Chiefs couldn't run the ball last night. You know what I'm saying? This kid Byron Pringle comes out of nowhere, 6 for 103 in a touch. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't go crazy waiver wiring him because Tyreek Hill is probably a week or 2 away. Mecole Hardman and Travis Kelce both go for over 70. Receiving yards. The running backs were nothing again yesterday. Mm-hmm. Shady had a big fumble. On the other side, it was all about Marlon Mack, though.
Yeah. So let's start with the Chiefs side first. The kid Pringle was nice to see, but I'm with you. I'm not chasing this. Tyreek Hill's back. And the reason Pringle had a big game was Sammy Watkins went out like the first series of the game. Like it was the first quarter. I don't know if it was the first series. Might have been the second series, but it was early in the game. And Pringle came in to be the third wide receiver in those 3 wide sets. Had a big catch or 2. I think he wound up with 100 yards, but I'm not really going to chase that. If you want to spend $1 on him and you got room on your waiver wire in a deep league, fine. Anybody in that offense is worthy, so I don't mind that. What I took away from this game, Corey, I actually fell asleep because, like I said, my body clock's all screwed up, but I watched the condensed version at about 2 a.m. here. The game popped out. It was 10-10 about 20 minutes into this game.
And then the scoring stopped.
And then the last 40 minutes of this game, it was like nobody could score. There were a couple turnovers inside the red zones, I think, on both sides, so that had something to do with it. But the other thing is that, Indy basically just controlled the clock in this game. And I think that's what teams are going to start trying to do to Kansas City. Yeah, you don't want to get in a shootout.
You got to have the kind of offensive line that Indy has. And
that's true.
Very few teams have that kind of offensive line. And Mahomes was banged up. If Mahomes was able to get out the pocket and do his thing, I think we still would have seen some fireworks in this game. And I think the Colts would have been able to hang. But when Mahomes got crippled, the D-line was able to sit back there and just tag off on him.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other thing, Mahomes threw for 300 yards. So it's not like Mahomes didn't have a good game here. But I think and again, I agree with you. Not every team is going to be able to execute the game plan that Indy did to beat KC. But Indy laid out the blueprint for you. You want to slow the game down against them. You want to try to control the clock against them. You don't want to let them – you're not going to beat Kansas City in a shootout. Nobody's going to beat Kansas City this year 55-49, You're going to beat Kansas City like Indy did yesterday. You're going to beat them 19-12, keeping them off the field, keeping that offense off there, keeping your defense fresh so they can go after Mahomes and make plays when they're out on the field. I agree with you. Indy had the perfect team to do it. They have a great offensive line that they decided to pound the run behind. Marlon Mack had a really good game yesterday. Nobody else in that offense really put up big numbers. I mean, Ebron only had a couple catches, and Doyle had a couple catches. T.Y. had a couple catches. Basically, they just pounded it behind that line. They controlled the clock. They won the game 19-12, and they got out of there. Very impressive win by Indianapolis, though. I will say that.
Yeah, no doubt. Definitely one of the bigger wins of the season that we've seen so far. Them going into Kansas City and getting that win. With Teddy Bridgewater, that's a good look for him. So that kind of wraps up the day in the NFL. We'll get into some waiver wire talk and start to break that stuff down right here tomorrow. Benny, I want to hop over to the division series right quick. We got 4 games today starting at 1:05 p.m. Eastern time, so it's going to be a lot of betting on baseball, and then we'll circle back and talk a little Monday Night Football before we get up out of here. Houston and Tampa, you got Zach Greinke and Charlie Morton. Any early leans?
I don't really want to bet on this one because to me, Morton is the pitcher that I'm most concerned with against Houston. But I will say this: Houston, he used to play for Houston. Houston knows him very well. I'm always going to be on the Houston side in this series because I just think that offense is so good. I think that their starting pitching is solid. This is one of those games, though, that I don't want to bet on because I feel like the pitching is not an advantage for them here. But again, Morton still has to go up against that Houston lineup, which to me is a lot tougher to navigate than the Tampa Bay lineup. So if I had to pick one, I'm on Houston, but I'm not a big fan of this game.
I think I see where the team total was 4.5 for Houston. That seemed low for Houston.
Morton's very good, though, man. Like, that's the thing.
I saw him. Yeah, I saw him in the wild card game.
Yeah, Morton is very, very good. So,
and this game was in Tampa, right?
Yeah, because it's game 3, right?
Yeah, it's game 3.
Yeah, so they're moving to Tampa for this one. Not really a greatest, ballpark for runs scored or for hitting either. So, I don't know. Like I said, this is one that I'm probably going to stay away from. If I did have to play anything, it'd be Houston, but I don't think I'm getting very good numbers to be on the Houston side of this.
No, Houston is you're laying $1.38. It's parlayable, you know what I'm saying? But you don't want to have to go down like that, at least not in my opinion. When you get back to the MLB, you got the Dodgers and the Nationals. Am I missing a game? Yes. You have Atlanta and St. Louis at 3:07. No pitcher listed for the Braves yet, going up against Dakota Hudson in St. Louis. What do you think?
I like Dakota Hudson. I think that kid's pretty good. Doesn't normally go super deep into games, though, so probably get into that bullpen a little bit, which, is a little bit of a crapshoot. But, yeah, I mean, I'd probably be on the St. Louis side of this one.
Really?
Yeah, I like St. Louis in the series. I'm not a huge fan of the Braves. Again, we don't even know who's pitching for them, so we'll see how that works itself out. But I like the St. Louis side of this.
The Dodgers and the Nationals, 6:40 first pitch over that one. Rich Hill and Max Scherzer.
Yeah, Scherzer is never somebody that I'm betting against. I like the Dodgers to win the series, but I'll take the Max Scherzer side of this.
Interesting. And finally, the New York Yankees and the Minnesota Twins, Severino and Jake Odorizzi.
So before the series started, the one pitcher that a lot of guys I know who were on the Twins said they were afraid of is Severino when he started. Yankees are up 2-0. It does go back to Minnesota, so maybe Minnesota can steal a win here. I bet the Yankees as soon as I got off the plane on Saturday, pretty happily, collected on that one. I don't know if I would bet this one, though, Corey. This is the one I'd probably sit out, but I do think the Yankees close the series out, which would be nice. Hopefully Tampa Bay and Houston bang each other's heads for a little bit, and, the Yankees get a little chance to rest before they get to go up against Houston.
Monday Night Football, Benny. You got what appears to be a live dog in the Cleveland Browns. But I would be very wary. The 49ers are tonight, Benny, what I like to call a contrarian favorite.
I mean, I'm on the 49ers, so they're not a contrarian favorite for me. I'll take them at the minus. I'm even going to lay the 5 points with them.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this 49ers team has been very good. The defense is underrated. And I think the 49ers are one of the more underrated teams in the league right now, Corey, and I think the Browns are one of the more overrated. So to me, this is the perfect combination of those two things. So I like the 49ers side of it. That's where I'm going with this. I also like the under. I think it's 47 points. I don't see this game being that high scoring.
Yeah, I would join you in that play right there as well. 49ers and the under. Okay, Benny, big piece of chicken. I give it to all your replacements for holding you down last week.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's, every day somebody else stepped up and hopped on for me here, which was cool. And I know a lot of people like seeing some of those other guys who don't always get a chance in front of the camera. So shout out to everybody at this company over here for allowing me to be off for a week because I needed it. Oh, God, all that weed smoke in Amsterdam was amazing, Corey.
I can imagine so, Benny. All right, for my main man, Benny Ricciardi, it's Corey Parson, the fantasy executive, the opening line. We are out.